I would consider myself a let's call me a semi-automatic, a semi-academic. What does that mean? It means I'm very smart about what I want to be academic about. There's certain information I need to gather. I'm a data gatherer. I'm like a squirrel, okay? I am not a squirrel. I am a semi-academic, because it's just basically I'm just cutting straight to the heart of the matter and go, I don't need this, I'm only looking for that. And I just pull that bit out, and then that goes into a database, let's call it, an Excel sheet of knowledge that I will use at some point. I don't sit down, like a new book comes out on research methodologies or whatever, I don't start at page 1 and read till the end. I flick to the index or the table of contents and I say, what do I need from this? Most of the time I will buy the books online. So I'll look at books electronically because I can search them quickly for topics I need to look at. I know what I'm looking for at this point in my life. I can cut out a lot of the fat, let's call it. But you should be doing that now. I mean, once you realize, hey look, I'm not an academic, then just only look for the stuff that's important to you. We've the two different types of people. We have the academic and the non-academic. Now the academic person is going to know from experience, because you know they've been getting these books since they've been under the Christmas tree, they're on the Santa list. I'm not critiquing them, I'm not, a bit of playful slagging, you know, not too much, a little bit of playful slagging. This is why this point is important about knowing your sources and trusting your sources, is that it's very easy when you're a non-academic, let's say, to just grab anything. And I've seen the Wikipedia sources, I've seen the secondhand sources. Secondhand source to me is like Malin, Ian, and then the other name. Well, just give me the other name. I don't need someone's secondhand, you know, Chinese whispers version of it. Because anything can happen in the meantime. They could pick it up wrong. They could be biased against it. They could attempt to hide information. So just look, try to get the original book if you can. I have a video on plagiarism coming up. Very important video, and it's going to talk about the idea of like, trust me bro. Since the COVID incident, there's been a lot of crap floating about, a lot of anecdotal information, a lot of anecdotal facts from the library of Facebook most of the time. It's important because you can learn something from that, which is, and people do it accidentally when they're looking up academic sources. They just pull it off a website, and because it's on the website they think, well, it must be academic knowledge, it's on an academic website. Just be careful, and how you can be careful is have a guess, look up other people's thesis, see what their bibliography list looks like. Are you missing anything? Maybe if you got 10 different bibliographies from 10 different qualitative theses, let's say, is there anything missing? Like, have they covered everything? Because maybe you could come in there and say, well, I actually found 5 more books that weren't mentioned here because I'm a few more years ahead of them, or I was a little bit more, I did a little bit more detective work on it. Check out my video on critical engagement. Critical engagement has a huge implication for referencing. How? Critical engagement is your fair and balanced assessment, essentially, of what you're looking at. You're basically presenting, saying, I read this guy's book, or look, if we're thinking smartly, I read what I'm supposed to be looking at in this book. Once you have the information from it that you need, you now have to present that on paper. This is the most important part. I will go through you if you do not give me that information in a succinct and truthful manner. And this is what it comes down to, just give me the raw data. Just tell me, hey, look, this is the amount of people that were involved in the study. This is the methodology to use. Probably could have used more people. Maybe a mixed methods would have been better. The person conducting the research worked in the organization. Can we trust that the interviews conducted then, that the information provided was truthful and not restrained? Because, hey, look, I know this person, I work with them, so I'm not going to give it to them straight. Is there also issues about, well, yes, it's anonymous, but is anything really anonymous? You know, and therefore, are the findings a little bit skewed? Well, how do we figure out if the findings here, can be generalized to the wider population? Well, look, here's 6 other studies done on it, and the findings were kind of similar. So, hey, okay. They can be replicated then. All this stuff relates to critical engagement, and it all relates to your sources. Critical engagement, if you look at one particular source, you want a source you're grabbing that is peer reviewed. It comes from a well-respected journal or a published book that is in a library. Like, there's many published books that are just atrocious, you know, spurious crap. Get something that's peer reviewed, get something that is mentioned in the literature of loads of different people. Something you can rely on. That's important. Academic reading, or researching, if you want to call it that in relation to this video, It's not a passive activity. You have made it a passive activity because you just think it involves reading 20 books and hoping for the best and taking some notes or highlighting. Highlighting is the greatest thing because that does nothing. You just basically, you've kicked the can down the road and say, I've highlighted it. It's up to you to learn it, months down the line. Don't bother. That's passive, okay? Be active in it. I'm the king of metaphors and analogies, okay? I got another one for you here, okay? I'm gonna throw the car one out the window for the moment. Gossip. What has engaging with academic texts got to do with gossip? You gotta think of it like relaying information, okay? Let's say person X does something, okay? Now person Y finds out about that, and they find out from person Z, okay? So person Y and person Z are having a conversation about person X. Person Y is like, you'll never guess what happened. Oh my God, guess what happened to person, or guess what person X did. Now, this is where it splits off, okay? When you're engaging with it, you're giving me all the facts of the situation, not just going, well then this happened, and then that happened, and blah, 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 blah. There's a bit of seasoning, a bit of sauce, a bit of juiciness on it, okay? You're gonna say, well look, person X said this, and you'll never guess who she was with, or you never guess what she said. But we have to be careful because that person was also a liar. They're known to be a liar, or they're biased, or like we're only getting one side of the truth, okay? And what that translates to in an academic point of view is there any biases? What are the strengths and weaknesses of what you're telling me? You're telling me that they did a study and they found this, this, and this. But is that the full truth? Was there any issues with what they found? And more importantly, how have other people engaged with it? Do people just say, like, is it a seminal text? In the sense that it's been used for 30 years and no one questions. They just think, you know what, it's been out so long, it must be the truth. It's very hard for things to get to that point, especially in modern times, but because everything is just ongoing constantly. But if you can give me the information and go, oh, by the way, this is new, it's a novel thing, so let's just see how it goes. But for now, it seems to me that yeah, okay, we're gonna trust it. In relation to gossip, know where the gossip is coming from and give me some context. So when you're telling me the gossip, you're kind of saying, well, you know what they're like, or you know what's happened here, you know what's happened there. So just give me the information, but give me the context, and the context is how you engage with it. Another important element of the gossip is to verify it with someone else. Person V has come into the equation. They're like, you'll never guess what person X said. I'm like, I'm very interested to hear what person X said because person Y told me what person X said, but you tell me. And what they tell you is more or less the same story. There's a few details left out. And you go, do you know what? Okay, I'm starting to get a bit of a picture now of what person X was up to. So you go, I'm gonna go and find out what person P thinks. And eventually you just get more and more people. And then you get a better understanding. And then you have the somewhere in the middle a notion of the truth, where you just say to yourself, okay, I have an idea of what happened. And that's all you can really hope for when you're engaging with different texts academically, is that you get a flavor of what's going on. You're basically saying, look, I went out and I researched what all these people were saying about person X. And let's say person X is the topic under review. Well, okay, now I have an idea what's going on. I can put that on paper and the person reading can go, do you know what? I have a better understanding of it now because they didn't just say a person X is a cheater. You've shown me that multiple people have confirmed it, have told the story, have relayed the information. My favorite word, my favorite buzzword, okay? Critically analyze or critically evaluate. You'll always see that in feedback from examiners or from supervisors where they say, you need more critical engagement here, okay? Everything I've said in this video is essentially critical engagement, okay? You're engaging with it, you're being smart about it, you're not just vomiting back up, okay? Evaluating the gossip means you get other people who talked about the gossip, and then you try and get the sort of middle ground between it all. Simple is best, okay? If you're reading a book and you don't understand it, that's on the author, okay? That's nothing to do with you. What works, what gets firsts, and what gets published, and well, not so much published, but what works within college, and what examiners love to see, is something simple. They don't care about tryhards or people who have these books where it's just like, I've no idea what you're talking about. Just give it to me simply. Simple is a dirty word in academia because some people think it means a dumbed down version of it, but it's not. Look at these videos, okay? I don't mind simple because things put simply are not too bad, okay? But dumbed down, like books for dummies and all that, okay? That's a terrible thing to throw at yourself because you're not a dummy. You're not You've been stuck in a system you may not understand, and you may not know what you need to do in that system. So if you come across these academic textbooks that are like, they're the size of phone books and they read like phone books, that's on the author, okay? If the author can't explain stuff in a fashion that's sort of similar to my videos, where it's very casual, very loose, then they don't understand the topic. They're just regurgitating what someone else came before them. And I see students fall into that trap. When I say you need to research better, they just think I need to read more. No, understand what's been said in those books, why it's been said, what's the most important. You need to read over the book almost. You need to sort of like, don't read read between the lines, I think is the better term there. What is being conveyed to you? Doesn't matter how it's being conveyed. It could be conveyed very simply, like in these videos, or very complex, like those books you read in the library that make you question whether you should be in college. The goal is the same. What are you trying to tell me? Another thing I always talk to people when how to research better is you are the layperson, okay? I always tell everyone, write for the layperson, write for the man on the street, okay? That's you. If you're starting off the course, that's you. You're also that person. There's no point walking into a library and grabbing a book off the shelf and saying, oh, I don't understand this. It's like, well, it hasn't been explained properly to you, you know, and it hasn't, or maybe you're grabbing the advanced book version of it. The fancy pants academic style that people think they need to do is nothing of the sort. Pompous, rhetorical, professor type style. And it sounds very good. It sounds very fancy, but ultimately it's full of hot air and it's hollow because they're not talking about anything. Politicians use rhetoric. It's a fancy way of saying a lot of things and saying nothing. We live in this pseudo-intellectual marketplace at the moment where you have a lot of academics with YouTube videos who spout absolute vile nonsense and vile derogatory material. And people think, well, they're smart because they're saying a lot of stuff that I'm getting nuggets of. But 90% of it is pure crap to someone like me, because I'm like, well, what's that mean? Or you're just talking nonsense. But to the uninitiated, you just think, do you know what? They sound so smart. They must know what they're talking about. Did those points come out very quickly, or was 90% of what they said just pure waffle? It's going to be waffle, okay? People replicate this style of writing, this rhetorical style. I'm a master of rhetoric. My PhD was on literary forms, literary structure. I studied rhetoric, all that sort of stuff over countless centuries and millennia. Don't need that in academic stuff. I would also say as well that when people ape that, it's a very clear indication that you're plagiarizing. Now, what do we mean by that? Very simple, okay? If I'm reading through someone's thesis and I'm starting off and go, oh, it's a bit ropey, it's shaking on the tracks, it's gonna fall off. But now I come to a lovely composed paragraph and there's like punctuation and it's written in a style, and I'm like, oh my God, they've really transformed in such a short space of time. Oh, now we're back to falling off the tracks again. So for a brief moment, there's like a chunk of text like this that comes from somewhere completely different, okay? I am incredibly dismayed by the fact that the student has not realized that I can see that. That tells me, because it happens so many, I mean, plagiarism is just a huge issue. Happens so often that you kind of think to yourself, are they doing this on purpose? I think it is. I think some students got the wrong message and think, okay, when they ask me to research better, they mean read everything and then regurgitate that and copy and paste it in there. I don't think they're trying to pass it off their own. Not all the time. I don't think they are. I think what's happening there is they think the expectation is that they have to talk like Mr. Professor up the top of the class, talking blah, blah, blah. And they're like, right. But blah, blah, blah means nothing. Critical engagement means, let's go back to the gossip, okay? Means you're able to listen to gossip and not be dragged into it, okay? If you're dragged into it and you start gossiping around the place, you're doing the plagiarism thing, okay? You're doing the blah, blah, blah yourself. Step back from the conversation, okay? Look at it. Go, okay, you're talking about this, you're talking about that, you're saying this. You're him, you're her, you're them, okay? Give me the details of it. Tell me why I should listen to this person over that person, okay? When you're critically engaging, you're stepping back, okay? And that's the important thing. It's like, it's sort of counter to the word, but engaging with something means stepping back. And when you step back from it, you can see the whole picture and you can see, well, this person talked about that person talked about this. And here is me recording that. Guys, the video is finally over. my 5-hour lecture on gossip is now coming to an end. Think smart about it. How do I get as much information from this with doing as little as possible? Little as possible is doing a lot of work there. I don't mean be lazy about it. I just mean be resourceful with your time. There's gonna be stuff in this video that's lacking. You're gonna be like, well, Bill, you mentioned stuff about this and things about that, but you didn't go into too much detail. I have a video. There's a video coming very shortly about all the stuff I missed out on, okay? At some point, maybe 20 years from now, when I finally completed my YouTube journey, it'll all make sense. Just wait 20 years, it'll all make sense. There's enough in this video to get you going. If I can convince one person to just not stare out the window and not feel that they need to spend 7 years looking out the window in the library, I'm a happy man. But once you figure out that, hey look, okay, I'm not an academic. I'm just here, I just need to get this thesis done, or I need to get these assignments done. That's perfectly fine. If anything, it'll release you from some of that trauma you feel of like, I don't fit in here. Once you realize you don't fit in here, but look, you can still get out of it, you're away. You're good to go. This video will link up with obviously videos on critical engagement, flow, academic writing, the literature review, and even stuff about being a real academic and being a non-academic. Again, it doesn't matter which one you are. I love both of you equally, but there is a difference, and the difference must be noted, just so that some people can move on. I hope this video has allowed you to move on. I'm going to be here for you if you need to talk anymore. My business is always, no, hang on a sec. My business is not always open. It's not easy. No one likes doing it, but there's people out there who are going to help you, okay? You're not alone. We're all in the Titanic together. We're all sinking somewhere, okay? And you're not crazy for thinking that, oh, I can't read these books, or I don't know what to read, okay? You'll get through it.